Hey guys, All Sports 83 sporting another video at you, and in today's video we're going to recap race number 24 of the 2020 GoFast eRacing series. As you can see, the race took place at Watkins Glen, and for the first time this season and in his career, the 88 car of Don Pablo earned his first career pole position. Now, when you go to these types of racetracks, the braking points are very different for all of the different drivers, so that turn one is always just a little bit scary. As you know, you're around a bunch of other guys trying to figure out what you want to do. But I got through the gears pretty good here, and got just super tight going through the S's, and just really didn't get through there very well. Basically, the way this series is going to work is I'm going to kind of give you a recap of the race from my perspective. I'm able to record these races, and I had a little glitch, something, I'm not sure what happened there. It looked, in the moment, it felt as though the 21 car got into me, but I actually think it was more of a glitch, and so I had to get going again. It does take more than one car to wreck to have a caution in the series, so I was not rescued by a yellow flag there. We do manual cautions in this league. As you can see there, the 2 car of Earn It gets a little out of sorts, and I was able to take advantage of that and move myself into the 7th position. If you take a look at the track map there, the number 43 car of color 7 had a pretty commanding lead over stage 1. He would go on to win that stage, and was also able to take advantage of the 21 car getting loose off the last corner and was able to finish 6th. But the top 5 finishing positions will earn stage points in this series, so just missed out on some stage points there. But we get ready for the restart for the beginning of stage number 2, and once again we're in that very challenging spot of getting down into turn number 1. So I caught myself sleeping a little bit, got on the brakes just a little bit too late, and put me into the 24 car of Mike G. It wasn't too bad, but it was enough to move him out of the groove. Was not intending to do that by any stretch, but I was able to get myself back into the 6th position, even though I didn't want to do it in that way specifically. But as you can see here, pretty much everybody does get a really good restart. This time the leader goes back to the pole sitter, Don Pablo. He gets the lead, but we're all really close with each other here, and definitely presents its own set of issues on road courses when you're racing around everybody else that's in the field. Typically, you make good time, you feel more comfortable when you're all by yourself, and you can really hit your marks and not worry about what other guys are doing and what other guys' breaking points are. But when it's really close like this, there's really not much you can do to do the best you can. The 21 car, J. Harris 3407, gets loose, turns sideways, basically blocks the track, and I basically plowed him. It ended up being a 3-car accident, and this would bring out our first accident caution of the race. And here we are back with the restart. As you can see, Don Pablo, the leader, took the left side lane, and here we are back on the restart again. Once again with that braking point, I get into the 14 car of Ty Racing just a little bit. I backed off, kind of give him that position, but as you can see, everybody's all over each other. It's very difficult to get yourself through the gears and make sure you hit your marks when there are other cars around. So we got to do the best we can. There was Racing JB84. I got himself into the wall a little bit, trying to get himself through the S's as well. But again, we're kind of packed. The field is pretty close. I get a little shot from the 21 car there. He was actually very strong through the bus stop there. It was probably his best part of the track. He made up a lot of time through that portion of the course. But if you're in front of him, it was very difficult because you didn't want to hold him up, and he definitely wanted to capitalize on making up time at that section of the track. So for the third time in turn one, I get in a little too hot, made a little bit of contact with the 14 car there, and moved him out of the groove, put me in the third position. Again, I didn't want to make contact with him. I'm sure he was upset with that. He actually showed me that he was upset as we go through the bus stop here. He comes back and gets me in the rear. But that's just kind of part of racing. He has to stand up for himself. I wasn't upset with that at all. But I was able to hang on to that third position through the bus stop. And now it's really just about trying to maintain, your speed and not make any mistakes. I obviously could not do that, and getting into the bus stop, I hit the wall and gave up the third position to J. Harris 3407. Meanwhile, up front, it was the 43 car of color 7 who maintained the lead. He was followed closely by the 88 of Don Pablo. Those two cars, up to this point in the race, were the class of the field. They seemed to have a lot more speed overall in the whole track as from everyone else. But basically, we did everything we could to try to maximize speed and minimize mistakes. We'll fast forward to the final lap here. There were no other incidents on the track, at least amongst the leaders. And as you can see here, the 43 car did go on to win stage number 2, with Don Pablo finishing second and J. Harris 3407 finishing in the third position. So as we get ready here, there's really not a whole lot of adjustments that you could make to this track. Really, it's just about hitting your marks and not making mistakes. So we'll get ready and start the final stage, where Mike G did not pit, and so he actually pitted before the end of the final stage, trying to get that track position to see if he could do any good with it.
Careful, still there. You got room, you're clear.
So a complete disaster in the bus stop here, as both myself and Color 7 get knocked out of the way and wrecked off to the side. And basically it spread the field out really quickly and cost a couple of us some track position. But it would all go for naught as a big crash coming out of the carousel turn. And this would bring out the second accident caution of the night. Now, I should explain here that we do race back to the caution, so when a caution comes out, guys are trying to get all they can get to try to get back into position so that they could have that track position for the restart. So that's why it was made it more difficult for me to get going. I was trying to get through there, was not able to do so. So then I basically start in last place for this restart. You got Don Pablo taking the lead once again. He spent pretty much the entire night at or near the front in first or second. So we try to get a clean start. Really, everybody's just wanting to get separated, get themselves in a position, and then just try to run throughout the race and try to let their times get them the best position. There's really not a lot of desire to be racing around other cars, as I mentioned before, because it really changes the way you have to race the racetrack. So there looked like some kind of glitch there. It looks like I touched the 14 car just a little bit, but apparently on his screen it must have been a lot more aggressive as it sent him flying to the left. So again, not an intentional moment there. As you can see on my screen, it just wasn't as aggressive, but apparently something was happening with the network that made it very different on his end of the experience. So we keep racing here. You got Racing JB84 trying to gather himself up after that turn that gets you close to the end of the lap here. And basically I'm in a position here where maybe I can outbrake him into turn number 1. I was able to do that successfully, and I was kind of back up the corners a little bit after I was able to outbrake him, get myself in position, and basically this is about as clean of a pass as you're going to get on these road courses. It's very difficult to race other racers. So here's a good example of what you're looking for when you're racing. You see the 2 car here of Earn It 3. He gets loose going through the S's, and I was able to kind of squeeze by him. Because racing and passing is so difficult, that's really the best way to pass. It's really a race of making fewer mistakes than the guys around you, and so that's kind of really what you're hoping for. A lot of us were sharing a lot of the similar lap times, and you see another moment here where J Harris 3407 gets loose through the carousel, and it doesn't really allow me to pass him, but it really puts both of us in kind of an uncomfortable position because now we're racing each other very closely. Now you don't want to just back off and give up extra time because you never know when you might need that time later on in the race, and so this became kind of a tight battle between the two of us. Nobody really wants to give too much of an inch as far as lap time is concerned, but we're also trying to be very conscious about racing around each other very closely. We don't want to wreck each other because that obviously would not bring out a caution if one car wrecked. So we're really just doing the best we can to race around each other and make up the best time possible. So yet another example of a guy making a mistake in front of you is color 7. Really messed up through the bus stop. He got himself way behind and actually lost 2 positions on the track, and then we were actually pretty spread out. So it was a pretty significant mistake for the 43 car, but he was also super fast at Watkins Glen. You can see here just a few laps later, he actually catches me and makes it back around me during the first turn as we started. I think we were looking at probably 15 or 16 laps to go at that point. A little bit later on, a couple laps later, you see the 21 car get loose coming off turn 1, and he actually was lost a couple of positions there as well. So at this point in the race, everybody's starting to move into those pit stops, that track position, because the top 3 cars, which included me, had gapped the field a little better, just maybe through taking advantage of others' mistakes. We all decided to go with 4 tires. Now, it was not much of a change for the top 2 cars, but for me, because I didn't have as much of a lead, I came out literally right in front of the 21 car. So again, myself and J Harris 3407 were in a position where we had to battle each other for that position. Now, moving forward in the race, he actually had to start conserving his tires. As you can see here, it's Don Pablo with the lead. Pretty sizable gap, probably 3 or 4 seconds over the second place car that just passed, which is the 43 car, and then color 7 had about a 6 or 7 second lead over me in the 3rd position. So pretty much you can see here there was a lot of things happening. Here's another moment through the bus stop. As you can see, the dot there not moving, that was the 43 car having another issue through the bus stop. Seemed to be a real challenge for him a few times throughout that race. And as you see here, he's actually within my sights here, and so for a moment you might think maybe the battle for second was on at this point, but that was not the case, as the 43 car was super fast. He was obviously faster than me all night long. And here's you come to the final lap. It is Don Pablo getting his first ever victory in the GoFast eRacing series. Color 7 was able to come home in the 2nd position, and I was able to round out the top 3. But that's a first victory in the GoFast eRacing series for the 88 car. Don Pablo put on a really good show and battled the 43 all night and was able to come out on top of this race. His first ever win in his rookie season. As you take a look at the final finishing positions for the race, color 7 with those 2 stage wins almost nearly got in the same amount of points as the winner. And you see J Harris 3407 was able to conserve those tires and finished 4th, and Mike G was able to round out the top 5. As we're going to take a switch here and now take a look at the point standings after 24 races. As you can see, KU B-Ball fan, who did not race at Watkins Glen, this allowed a couple of guys to really bear down him on the points. Color 7 now only 9 points out, and Mike G also within striking distance. And the same could be said for that 4th position. I'm hanging on by a thread. Earn It 3 and J Harris 3407 are still within striking distance of that final playoff position with just 2 races to go. If you want more information about the GoFast eRacing series, you can find it at the reference website at gofasteseries.wixsite.com/home. Next week, we're off to the Dover International Raceway, where hopefully we can shape out the story of this championship a little further. But until then, I hope you enjoyed the video, and have a good one.